The Chakralytics Show.
Namaste and welcome. In this video, I would like to go a bit deeper into the chakras and into something that I saw in the article written by Christopher Wallis. He said something about the chakras being in the classical tradition. If we go way back, they are seen as descriptive or prescriptive. I will explain what I think he is meaning by this. So what this means is that in the classical tradition, in Kashmir Shaivism, in non-dual Shaiva Tantra, when we go back to the 9th century or 10th century, around that era, and maybe when we go back before that, the chakras were locations, energy centers, where I think they were still energy centers where a lot of condensed energy would form, but they would be places or locations where they would invoke what we could say mandalas or groups or families of deities or deities, where they would invoke deities. And with this invoking of deities, of their deity on different locations, they would embody their qualities, and they would invoke their qualities, and they would align themselves with the divine, with the deity. We could say possession. So in these traditions, maybe they have, or that's what I've read, is that they also have shamanic roots for part. So and we see this everywhere in the world. For example, in Africa as well, Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, or the locations where voodoo is being practiced. They talk a lot about spirits and ghosts and exorcism and possession of ghosts and spirits. And this was also a big theme in Kashmir Shai, or in the earlier tantric rituals and tantric tradition. There's a free lecture of Mark Dyczkowski talking about the lecture of the yoginis. And there he will explain a little bit more about this. I found this very intriguing and very interesting. And it got me thinking, because in my own experience, so maybe I have to go back a bit. So that's what Christopher Wallis says, that these chakras were locations where they would invoke these deities. And because people were so aligned with their qualities and familiarized with these deities, they would invoke these energies and embody these qualities that these deities would have. So Christopher Wallis says they don't necessarily collide with certain psychological states. So that really got me contemplating, because in my experience, what I've experienced that the themes that are integrated in chakras, in these chakra works that we know all over the world, that are commonly known right now, I feel that these themes are quite well, I've explained in the previous video about the nuances within chakra work, but besides that, I feel that these themes align very well with the locations where they are said to be. So if we look at rootedness and groundedness, safety, perceived safety, I often feel contractions in the lower back area, or somewhere in this area around my hips, or at the lower back. So if I'm talking about contractions on intimacy, or misalignments on intimacy or sexuality, or vulnerability in intimate relations, I can feel the contractions underneath my navel area, or around my genitals. If we look at trust, solar plexus area, strength, it very much aligns with the navel area. Or if we go a lot of things, I feel contractions in the heart space. So and it very well aligns with that feeling of acceptance and of compassion. So but so for me, it very much aligns with these concepts. And I think we maybe have to understand that, or what I've been contemplating on is how has this evolved, and how did it came about that we now consider this as an alignment, and as corresponding to the chakras, and that people feel a lot of benefits of working with chakras in this way. And I think that when we look back in the earlier ages, that's what came to mind for me, is that they were very much involved with ghosts and demons, and with deities, with the divine beings. And by invoking these divine beings, they would dissolve, they would annihilate, or get rid of these demons. Well, when we're moving forward to psychology and to a contemporary era, the era of nowadays, we can see that these, what we believe to be demons, and also in Anuttara Trika, so it's the most excellent Trika, the Kashmir Shaivism, they would also say that these, what we believe to be demons, that these are all energies, are all contractions within consciousness. So by what we have been doing in a later stage is, for example, within psychology, and Christopher Wallis meant Mr. Jung, we can see that what we've been calling demons beforehand in the earlier stages would now be called maybe behavioral patterns, or misaligned belief systems, or fears, or anger, or laziness, or those kind of qualities that we feel don't align with our essence nature of unconditional love and unconditional acceptance, our divine nature. So I think that maybe it's been a natural evolution, that we have now evolved into more, and maybe it's also more contemporary mindset, more that we've been used to look at, or we have been programmed more to look at problem solving instead of what they did beforehand. In earlier stages, they were focused more on devotion and on invoking the divine. And by invoking the divine would dissolve all these demons. They would, get rid of all these demons. And now we have been more focused on problem solving. Okay, what do I need to fix? What do I need to fix? What do I need to fix? And I think that's also beautiful. I think it's beautiful to focus on, okay, what contractions do I feel? Recognize that these are misaligned belief systems, that these are stuck emotions or samskaras, working on them, dissolving them, feeling that they are contracted in the energy centers, in the chakras. We have, for example, the body keeps the score, somatic research by Van der Kolff, I think. They go very deep in trauma, in healing trauma, and that the body keeps that the trauma will settle in the body. So these contractions will be really would get stuck inside our system if we won't dissolve them. So I think it's a beautiful way with chakra work to go to these contractions and dissolve them. And so I think this problem solving mentality could be very beautiful to look at, okay, what's where do I feel contractions, where do I see stuck emotions? But I think that for effectiveness, or what I've been experiencing myself, is that I would beforehand I would focus on, okay, what's wrong? What needs solving? And I would just be focusing on that all the time. And what happened for me was that I would feel depleted and I would get agitated at some point. I would very much feel very fiery, always transforming and agitating and seeking on what was not right, what needed to transform, what needed to dissolve. What really made a huge change for me in my own process was when I started to rest in divine consciousness, and when I started to acknowledge what is there and the love I feel, the fullness that I feel. And that's what I can very much see in what they were doing in the earlier stages, in the earlier ages, is that they were invoking and focusing on these qualities of the divine. But they knew that there was the divine, very much aligned. They were devoted to the divine. And I think that this may be very beneficial in nowadays, in contemporary times, that we start to feel this devotion again and acknowledging our divinity again. And by acknowledging our divinity again, it would be a lot easier to invoke these energies of divinity, because we have a clear image of what the divine would entail, or a certain kind of feeling of what this divine would be, and this divine would be our essence nature. And what I said, for me, it has been a huge step when I started integrating this in my daily practice, to focus on what I could dissolve, but also focus on embodying the divine. So resting in the divine, resting in consciousness bliss, or consciously invoking the qualities of the divine, of the non-dual reality. And there's a technique in the Netherlands that's called the body-mind release technique. And I haven't done it myself, but I have spoken to a therapist, to a coach who was working with this, and I was already doing my own practice, and that felt really well. But I felt really aligned with that. But it grounded these ideas and thoughts that I'm having. They make use of chakra work as well, doing chakra work, working with these teams. They work as well with the 7 chakra system, and they consciously focus on releasing the anxiety, releasing the fears around these themes, for example, for the root chakra, for the sacral chakra, for the solar plexus chakra, etc. And they would focus on consciously focusing on the contractions that are being experienced around those themes, and they would release them, let go, let go, let go, and then they would invoke qualities, the qualities of that are aligned with those chakras, that are corresponding to those chakras. And we could very well say that these are the non-dual, these may be the non-dual qualities of consciousness, of reality, of the divine. And they are consciously invoking these qualities. And I feel that this is very much aligned with invoking deities. So by invoking deities, you are consciously invoking these energies, these qualities that are corresponding to the deities you are invoking. So now they are just focusing on these qualities, and I've mentioned this before in another video in the Chakra Sadhana course, but the body mind release technique, it shows a lot of promise and they have a big contract with a labor insurance company in the Netherlands, and they claim to have great results. So I think this two-way process of releasing and invoking may be very beneficial for self-alignment. So what we've done in Chakralytics is we have created a tool for deep self-inquiry, a tool for self-analysis, and we based on the 7 chakra system. And what we do, we explore 21 major themes of our lived experience. But what we can also say, we're exploring how deeply we align with divine qualities. So, for example, in the root chakra, we focus on environment and safety. We focus on finances and stability, and we focus on physical health. And we have a question, so you have an assessment that you can fill in, and based on that assessment you can see how deeply or the aim of the assessment is to help show you how deeply you feel aligned with your sense of safety, for example, a divine quality, the feeling of feeling self-secure. And for example, when we dive into finances and stability, it's we dive into divine qualities of abundance, of self-sufficiency, self-dependence. And when we look at physical health, for example, we look at the trust we have in our physical body, the trust that we have in ourselves that we can carry out the tasks that feel aligned with us to do. The safety and the freedom that we feel in our physical experience. So these are very much pointers that help you see that may help in how deeply you feel aligned with these divine qualities and what kind of misalignments you experience or what kind of stuck emotions you still experience, or some skaras you still experience within these themes. So I've already completed the chakra assessment here for the root chakra, and I will show you what the complete page then looks like for the root chakra. So these were test scores. So you can see an overall chakra balance, and well, now with the test score it has been going to 81%. And then you see a short interpretative text that will change accordingly to the score that you have received. And then it will show you the different areas, so the different themes, environment and safety, finances and stability, and physical health, with also interpretative texts and perhaps some suggestions and well, just an explanation of what this could mean, what these scores could mean. And then we even go into a deep dive into dimensions. So for a deeper exploration, well, now with the test scores, they have been all answered quite evenly. But here we can see in a radar chart very clearly on which specific areas we can see that we're thriving and which specific areas could perhaps benefit from some nurture and attention. And here, look, so now with the test data, it has been quite equally, but if you would fill it in yourself, you maybe would have some ones there as well, some one scores, some low scores as well. And it may help you see in which specific question you scored really low at and which specific question you've scored really high at. So it gives a deepening insight on where to focus your attention for dissolving, for embracing and dissolving misalignments, and also recognizing and acknowledging where you feel that you're thriving right now. And if we look at for example, the environment and safety category, we can see that the dimensions, there are 3 dimensions per subcategory to go even deeper. And here it is, the earth element connection. So it is a feeling of, I would say an earth element connection is, when you think of the earth element, if you think of the earth, you can think of qualities that come up when you think of the earth. For example, stability, solidity, but also like regeneration or the earth is holding us, it's holding us like a home, so I feel supported. So these are all qualities, and that when we feel strongly connected with the earth element, we could say we feel strongly connected with these qualities. Then we go to the dimension perceived safety and self-security, and we go to foundation and centeredness. How stable how steady my foundation feels, and how centered I feel. And then for finance and stability, adequacy and sufficiency, self-supportiveness and self-efficacy, daily rhythms and routines. And then physical health, nourishment and self-attunement, physical strength and resilience, somatic awareness and self-attentiveness. With interpretative text with every score, so it will guide you, it will help guide you, and will give you some information on how the scores may be interpreted. And then we have created these kind of questions. If these interpretations align with what you are currently feeling, yes, it feels accurate. Somewhat mixed feelings, not really. And then after this, because you've seen a lot of results of your own self-inquiry, of your own self-assessment, you get we provide you with reflective inquiry, so with reflective prompts, questions that you can answer, what comes up when you see these scores, and then you can fill in, and it will save automatically, and what's going on in your experience that may be reflected in these scores. So it really provides like a mirror, or it helps you turn inwards to see where your contractions are, and to get a clear insight of your inner energy landscape. And then we have some micro teachings about the subject, and then we provide practical supportive suggestions. So these practical supportive suggestions, we have based them on your lowest subcategory score. So at right now, the lowest subcategory score were these two, finances and stability, and physical health, and then it will take the first one, so finances and stability, and it will show you some practical suggestions, supportive suggestions that may help you with aligning yourself with deepening your alignment with finances and stability, with that feeling of abundance, and with releasing fears surrounding finances and fears surrounding stability or other stuck emotions and misaligned belief systems. And then this is what we provide. This is our foundational path of practice within Chakralytics, and that is what we're doing right now with the self-inquiry tool. And then we have provided a chakra sadhana course. It's with the purpose of a chakra sadhana ritual, that is a daily ritual that you can do every morning and every evening, aimed to help release stuck emotions and support self-alignment. And then we offer a garden of teachings, a library for this purpose, with contemplating text on the self for deepening self-understanding. And then we provide a community within Chakralytics for self-reflection, for peer-to-peer reflection. And We're also aiming to invite coaches and teachers that align with these teachings, and they may provide one-to-one coaching services. And we've also recently integrated a place for live courses. So for live courses that will be held here, live events, live online events. So also for this sense of community, this sense of deepening self-understanding, and for self-alignment. And what we have done, so once you have filled in all these things, for example, even when we say something like have some misalignments on finance. So, and then so this is saved, and what we then can do, we can download a report, a deep dive report. So this may provide a beautiful tool for yourself to keep your score safe, your insight saved, and it can also provide a beautiful report to share with, for example, your therapist or your coach or practitioner, to help them understand where you feel that you are standing at this moment in time. So this beautiful report, I'm not able to share the report, I see, because I'm only in the web browsing. All right, so I will perhaps I will share a link to this report in the description below, so that you can see what kind of report comes out for example, the root chakra now for these scores. So that's what we're doing within Chakralytics. I warmly invite you to check it out. We have a free preview where you can do a quick chakra scan with no account needed, and we provide a free tier, and we provide a premium tier, and so warmly invite you to check that out. Thank you. This was it for now. Namaste and bless you all. Om.